Brilliance Audio presents The First Girl Child by Amy Harmon. Performed by Rob Shapiro. Dagmar preferred to pray outside. The walls of the temple were cool and quiet, but the stone was empty, lifeless, and he felt cut off from the wonder that made him want to pray. When he walked in the woods and touched the trees or picked his way up the grassy hills that rose up all around the land of Saylok, his soul was untethered, and the words in his heart loosened and rose to his mouth to spill from his lips. He prayed to Odin, the All-Father, though the word father always brought a pang of guilt to his breast. His father was a warrior, mighty and feared, and he'd been determined that Dagmar be a warrior as well. But Desdemona was the warrior, the best shield maiden in Dolphus, and she fought with a skill and a ferocity that drew admiration from the men of every clan. Dagmar did not want the admiration of men. He wanted the knowledge of the gods. The keepers of Saylok were revered and protected, something Dagmar had longed for all his life: peace, quiet, and safety. His father had not been able to refuse when Dagmar had petitioned the chieftain of Dolphus to go to Temple Hill. Each year, one man from each of the 6 clans of Saylok was selected to supplicate the keepers of Saylok. Not all supplicants would remain to be trained and eventually ordained. Some years none remained. The keepers had their own selection methods. But Dagmar had been chosen. He'd committed himself fully, and the highest keeper had seen his promise. He'd also taken note of his considerable strength, his size, and his affinity for the runes. The highest keeper, a small, wizened man called Ivo, had asked him, his voice dripping with disdain and suspicion, "Why are you here, Dagmar of Dolphus? You are built like a warrior. You should be protecting your clan." "I am built like a warrior, but I have the heart of a keeper," Dagmar had answered. The highest keeper, his eyes rimmed in the black that also stained his wrinkled lips, had laughed at that, spat. "You do not have a keeper's heart. Yours is the heart of a defiant child." "I refuse to be a warrior of Dolphus or of any clan. That is the only defiance in my heart." "And if I send you away?" the highest keeper had asked. "I will walk to the cliffs of Shinway and throw myself from them," Dagmar answered. He'd been deadly serious. The highest keeper had not sent him away. No other candidates had been chosen that year or the next from any of the clans, nor even the year after that, but Dagmar had stayed. He was in his 5th year, and he was no longer called supplicant. He was a keeper now. Dagmar stepped across the creek, balancing on the slippery rocks, but his mind slid back to his sister. He had been her brother long before he was a keeper of Saylok. He'd dreamed of her for 3 nights in a row. He'd woken at dawn sick with dread for her. If she'd been plain, her path might have been easier, but she was not plain, and Desdemona, for all her gifts, had terrible judgment. Mayhaps it was the absence of a mother and the example of a father who lived only to fight, who confused passion and hate, twisting them together so she couldn't separate the two.